Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 6 of our Move Through the Darkness challenge. My name is Shauna Cranmer. I'm with North Range Behavioral Health as well as Imagine Zero of Weld County. I am joined today with Maggie Thompson. She is a physical therapist and owner of Refuge Physiotherapy in Windsor, Colorado. Today, Maggie is going to grace us with her wealth of knowledge through the physical therapy lens. She's going to talk about what she sees during this time of year, why it's important for us to keep moving, and some tips, tricks, and exercises for doing so. I also want to share that while this will be streamed live, this session is pre recorded. So if you have questions or comments, please still drop those in the chat and we will do our best to get back to all of those after the session. With that, Maggie, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I joke about it had to be pre-recorded because I have a 5-month-old at home, so we had to do a structured time in order to do so. I'm honored that y'all asked me, and I'm really glad to be able to kind of just talk through some things and give some wisdom and knowledge to help all of you who are tuned in. So again, I am Maggie Thompson, and I'm the owner of Refuge Physiotherapy, and we are a physical therapy clinic here in Windsor. So I would say I would classify myself as like a holistic PT because we do a lot of well-rounded approach, but also address the patient as a whole. So a lot of things I'm talking about today are going to be in regards to that. So if you're like, what the heck is a PT doing talking about this? When you look at the whole person and learn how many things affect pain and tightness or issues with the body, you'll get it. So that being said, if y'all have any questions and stuff later, I will definitely try to get to those. But since it is live streamed, we're just going to go. And I could be chatty Cathy too, and I have notes to organize my mom brain. But yeah, so Move Through the Darkness is a great challenge, and I'm so proud that got started. That is awesome because it is really hard, especially with the change in circadian rhythm and all the things with daylight savings time. And it's just hard. It's fun with holidays, but also stressful. But then it can be really hard mental time, which we know the evidence is overwhelming that physical activity helps with the mental state. So, I mean, I even talk with a lot of my patients about anxiety, depression. No, I'm not a counselor at all. I'm just like the fact that they have it, or seasonal affective disorder, and the things, because that impacts how usually like good they are about being consistent with their routine and their regime, and if they have pain flare-ups, etc. So I know this got started because we do see a depression increase and suicide increase during the season, and so I'm going to bring the approach from the physical activity and exercise and address a few other things just to give wisdom. And y'all probably know already all of it, but sometimes you have to hear things 30 times to make some change. So from a PT perspective, what we see more come into the clinic, or even talking to family friends, but more like patient presentations, are pain flare-ups that come along during this time. And I'll explain all this in a minute. Increased pain, if they've had like acute on chronic pain, they've had an issue before, now it's like coming back even though they were feeling really good. A lot of autoimmune flares also, decreased movement and stiffness, maybe increased weakness just from not doing as much, and increased stress. So all of those things combine, like the body and somatic experiences are crazy related. So making sure we're staying on top of and controlling the controllables is a big thing. So I would say during this time, like everybody's starting to get geared for like New Year's, right? Because New Year's Day was yesterday, and everybody's new habits and all the things. And it's like a good marketing approach every year, right? Let's be real. But during this season, especially because it starts like in November when it's getting darker, November, December. And I just always talk about Let's really focus on trying to create some just like good, sustainable and maintainable habits throughout the year and just maintain during this season. If you feel in a good place to add things, fine, that's great. But what most people need to do, which I have a hard time doing myself because I'm a little go-getter and all the things, and maintaining is still a lot of work, especially when you're adding more stuff to the plate. So maintenance during this time is a key critical component, which is what I talk with a lot of my patients about. Like, let's just keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna do some things to calm it down, or we can just like reassess and see. But really, it's like not always the most appropriate time to add a ton of new crap in. Okay. Even if it's a positive, if you're already having a hard time doing some things, why add more to the plate? Okay. With the body stuff that we see, it ends up being a lot more spine. So let's think neck pain, stiffness, headache, low back pain, stiffness, sitting a lot more. So like hip tightness, and then more like shoulder stuff too. So like shoulder, hip, spine, meaning like low back, mid back, neck is what, it's not that we don't see other things, but we hold a lot of stuff in our spine, and then we're sitting a lot more. Doom scrolling, watching TV, being cozy. We're not moving as much because it's harder to be outside, and driving a lot more for traveling or whatever, if that's an airplane, car. So there's like a lot of reasons. Financial stress during the holidays, or just family stress, to be honest, 'cause that's the thing. Um, so like there's reasons that your body would like feel some type of way. And it's harder when it's darker and like the time change, circadian rhythm, like I was saying as well. And that shift, like that's why I hate it, because it doesn't I don't feel like it's very beneficial for health to keep changing that. So hopefully daylight savings time change. That's just my opinion. But it does seriously affect things, and you have to get into like a newer routine, and sleep is so important, and I'm going to talk about that too, because our recovery happens mostly when we're sleeping. So if we're not trying to get consistent like quality sleep, that's an issue of how that's going to present in your body as well. So as I talked about, creating habits the rest of the year to be able to keep doing instead of always adding something new. That's a really great time for this. And then if you can do more and you feel good about it and you're really motivated, great. But most people don't really get motivated during this time. You just have to have the discipline to keep going. And then I wanted to talk about, this is what it's like a um, acronym, I can't even think of. I learned it in one of my courses, and I love it. So these are things to focus on that are in your control and to be more intentional with. And I focus on with my patients all the time because they're factors that drive pain and how your body feels. So it's called MEDS. So mindset, exercise, diet, and sleep. So these are just things like I don't I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a counselor, things like that, but you can still check in with people and see where they're at. So mindset, like check in with yourself. Are you feeling more anxious, depressed? Are you having a more stressful time period? Because a lot of times we know that if people are having increased like financial stress or marital stress, or they're having a hard time with kids or family in general, or whatever it is, like, what do you think your body's gonna do? It's gonna hold on to that. It's gonna be tighter. You're gonna be more anxious. So that's just something to check in with. I always like refer out to counseling or whatever, or if they're reading books or they have apps for mindfulness, that's fine. But at least checking in and being like, okay, if I'm having symptoms of pain or tightness, or I'm just noticing this area, that's almost my booger area, I call it. Um, like where am I at as far as that kind of stress in my life right now? Or do I feel fine? Okay, but am I having a little bit harder time mentally right now? Then that could be adding to it. The next is exercise, which we're going to hone in on a lot today. So, doing some sort of movement. And yes, I'm a huge proponent for corrective exercise. I do a lot of it because that's how you fix things. We figure out movement patterns and what's going on, where you're weak, where you're tight, maybe where you're both. Um, but like doing some mobility if you need to, because some hypermobile people don't always need to do that. We're not going to get into nitty-gritty with that. But doing also some sort of strength training, that doesn't always mean lifting heavy weights, but like body weight exercises, some things I'm going to show y'all today that are easy or may not feel easy, but it doesn't have to require going to a gym to do. And then walking is like the most underrated thing that we can do for ourselves and our bodies. So whether that's outside, even if it's in the dark, or you get to it during the day, even if it's a short amount of time, or you join a gym or you go, you're like paying for one and you hardly ever go because it's been nice outside and you finally start going so that you can actually be on the treadmill and things like that. We have options, but like walking, doing a little bit of mobility stretching and some sort of strength activation stuff, since you should always be doing that. But really tapping into that during the season because it will make you feel better. It'll give you the endorphins, it'll help with your mood, and you're just much more pleasant person to be around usually too. And then we'll get into that in a minute. So diet, are you consuming more inflammatory things in nature? This is the top two I always ask for: alcohol and sugar, especially during this time. So they're both inflammatory. They can both make your body feel really crappy. Um, Obviously, a lot of people decide to consume more of that just because of the social interaction or just like the tradition of holiday food. And I get that because I ate cinnamon rolls for Christmas, but I also really didn't feel good after. But I do think it's really important to like be moderate in that, right? Like, am I how am I feeling? Am I having like brain fog? Am I feeling achy and a lot of that? Because a lot of my patients are very like honest and they'll be like, man, I've been drinking more or I've been consuming a crap ton of sugar and I know what I need to do, but my joints hurt. And it's like, okay, well, like that's not multiple different injury spots. That's literally your body being in an inflammatory state. So, in saying that, just pay attention to that. I'm not telling you don't drink or don't consume sugar, but like if it's like a social thing, I mean, you can also say no. If you're in a pain flare, it's really good that you minimize that. Or if not, just make sure you're keeping it at bay. Like, don't overcook it. Because neither one of those is great for us anyway. Let's be real. And then staying hydrated goes along with that too. Just making sure, especially if you're doing that, like you need to be drinking at least half your body weight in ounces a day anyway. But especially if you're going to be drinking more too, you need more water. So that's basic stuff. And then sleep, I'm big on sleep. This is probably the second biggest thing I taught besides exercise stuff is it doesn't always have to be quantity, but how's the quality of your sleep? Are you getting the deep sleep and REM that helps with recovery? Because if we're sleeping super crappy at night, what do you think your body's going to do during the day or how it's going to feel? And you could do all the exercises in the world, but if you're not taking care of yourself in these other ways, it may not feel like it's really like changing that much. And that's like the inflammatory state and the lack of recovery and the ways that you can control. So we have a whole sheet that we give people, but um, good sleep hygiene, dark, cold room, blackout curtains, trying to have a consistent bedtime. It's really hard. So you have to be able to adapt when you're like on the go during holiday stuff. But preparing your body for mind and body and mind for sleep. So not being active super late. It's actually been shown via research to like not work out later in the day or in the evenings because that can like keep you up and stimulated. So more like morning or midday is usually better. Late night walks, stuff like that, it's not a problem. Some people are gonna have to do stuff after work, so I get it, but like close to bedtime, really try not to. And then having some wind down time, getting off screens. I know it's hard. I love TV. So like and I usually when the baby goes down, it's my time to like do my work stuff. And so I have like blue light blocker glasses because I know I have to like that's my time to do it. And I'm trying to be really better this year about not being on my screen up to bedtime. So I'm guilty of it myself. I get it. But I do tell the nights that I don't, I'm more relaxed and I sleep better because I track it via my Aura ring. So and having things like that, like your watch, there's so many things, gadgets these days, rings, whatever, to be able to track that so you have objective data because sometimes like I'm type A, so having things I love tracking is like, okay, that's cool. Now I have that data. Now like what did I do? Let me try to be consistent in that if this is the best I felt and the least tired I felt in a while. So check in with your mindset and your body, do some sort of exercise or movement every day. And I'm going to address the concept of movement snacks in just a little bit. Diet, like, let's just hone in on, especially like, I'm not going to get into like macros, like eating enough protein, yes, blah, blah, blah. But really, just like do eliminate before you add. So, like, sugar, alcohol, are they too much in excess right now, and staying hydrated. And then sleep quality over quantity and having good sleep hygiene. So that's meds, and those are basic, yes, but like most people don't, it can be basic and simple. And the problem is we have so much info, but we don't execute on it. So maybe making a promise to yourself that you have to keep to like, I'm gonna really hone in on one of these things. Like, let me really focus on for the next 2 to 3 weeks my sleep hygiene and be consistent with that every night. Or let me make sure I at least go on a walk every day, even if it's only 10 to 15 minutes, or just like building those habits up because those are still accessible and easy-ish to do. Like, yes, I have a 5-month-old, but and I'm working now again. And so I just like literally this morning before I came to work, we both needed fresh air. It's good for them. And so I just held him and walked down the street and back. And it took like 5 minutes, but it was still something for me. And so it's really just not making excuses. And even a lot of people are all or none mentality too, which I struggle with a lot with my patients and like having to get them to adapt because they think if they can't go work out for 45 to 60 minutes or more, then they can't do anything. And it's just not true. Like, do 10 or 15 minutes and something is better than nothing. I always say that something is better than nothing. Choose 2 or 3 exercises that you feel like you're benefiting the most from and hit them consistently. Um, so in saying that, I'm gonna start going more over the exercise specific stuff. Shauna, am I good on time and things?
You're doing great on time.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I get excited about all this stuff. I get going and then I can chat probably for an hour, but okay, exercise considerations during the season. So I'm going to talk about home versus gym. Okay. People have their preferences. I very much struggle with working out at home. It's almost like I need to dissociate from that environment, but that hasn't been healthy for me because then I'm less consistent with my baby. And so at least a walk every day, or me and my husband will like switch shifts. So like you can like you have to come up with whatever's best for your family because now I'm realizing that I finally have a kid that it is challenging for like parents, especially of youngsters, to do that. So I know not all y'all have kids, um, but it is something that not everybody has the same schedule in 24 hours. So I totally understand that. But we do have options, right? So setting up some equipment at home, if like you can do body weight stuff. I'm gonna show you a few body weight things today. Um, get some bands, like a $10 3 to 5 pack on Amazon, and you can do like shoulder stuff, you can do like glute, leg stuff. Like there's plenty you can do with bands. Having a foam roller for some mobility, I'll show you that too. I love weights. A lot of people are not going to buy a ton of like medium to heavy weights because they're expensive. If they go to a gym and they're already paying for that, it's just cheaper to do that. But maybe getting the 5, 10, 15, 20 pound weight and you can just do a lot with that. So setting it up at home, and then um what does this do for home workout? It makes it convenient and limits excuses to get it done. Okay. And it doesn't have to be fancy or difficult. You can literally go through some basic movements and do a circuit of 3 things in 3 rounds. Boom, I did that. I worked those muscles. I took my leg or my arm or my trunk through that range of motion and made it a little bit stronger and moved. And that got my blood flowing. And that was a great 15 minutes. Good. Um, and then I can go on a walk maybe before and after, or do a little jog down the street, whatever you want to do. But I think the home thing does eliminate, even though I'm like, well, I just need to do it. But that's why I still make myself go to the gym because I won't do it at home. But a lot of people have home gyms. So if you have it, it's accessible, it's easy and convenient. That's a great thing. If you don't want to do it at home or you don't have the equipment or you have a gym membership, this is the time I would say, if you can, to start trickling back into that because what this does is a lot for your mental health too. Both of them are, but I would say putting yourself in the environment that other people, if you want to consider it suffering to work out, they're also there choosing to be there. And it's almost like this camaraderie, even if you don't talk to people, that you get to be around other people working out and it just does something for you. It's not to like low flashy or like you're worried about what other people are thinking. It's just more like putting yourself in the environment. It's less convenient because you have to drive to the gym and get ready and it takes a little bit more time. But if that's what you need, even if it's a 30-minute workout, so be it. So creates an environment being around other people, which really focuses in on accountability also. You can do classes. I love working out by myself, but like classes and being around like you can kind of get in the same classes and start making friends in those classes kind of thing. So the social aspect is there. If you feel like you're not getting a lot of social interaction at home because you're either with your kids or you're losing your mind all day, or you work from home and you need to do something to get out of the house, the social aspect is really important for the gym setting. Again, even if you don't talk to anyone, you could talk to the front desk person, whatever. It's like checking in, but you're still around other people. And I think for people who start getting super depressed or anxious because they haven't left the house or they haven't been around a lot of other people besides just their immediate family, it is really healthy to like get out and do that environment. So whether it's like, I just like going to a basic gym, but I'm just thinking Pilates or yoga classes or spin classes, anything like that that's still fun, but you still get to be around people. So I think that is a great, it's less convenient, but it's better in my opinion for the social aspect is going to the gym. So you kind of have to pick and choose like what you want, if that makes sense. And like I said, also helps with not isolating if you aren't getting any social time, um, or you work from home or stay at home mom, something like that. And then I like it because a lot of people who stop running or walking or don't like doing that as much in the dark, at least you have treadmill access. If you don't want to buy one because they are expensive, it's cheaper to do a gym membership and then you have access to a lot more stuff. So like being able to go there and be like, even if I don't want to do anything else, I just get to walk on incline or walk or run and still get that done without having to worry about dark or cold. So it eliminates an excuse because there is something there. And most gym memberships, I mean, I know a lot of things are expensive, but it's worth it for your mental and physical health to get. So those are the benefits of each. And then I love the book Atomic Habits, and I read it with my staff last year, and we were just talking about like in order to like do this, like create habits, yes, but I'm just thinking the maintaining thing, like make it attractive, convenient, home gym. That's the convenient piece, but make it attractive. Like, um, what is that going to get me? Is that a reward? Or if I have my stuff just in front of me at home, and then like make it easy to accomplish. So like my gym is close to my house. I will not drive more than 10 minutes to go to a gym. Like I'm just very convenience based, but I still like going to the gym. So I make sure it's one that I like and has the equipment I want, but it's close to home because also being a mom, I have to get back to my baby. And then uh, just like that's my thing though. So like if it's convenient to be at home and just have your home equipment, and a lot of my patients, I don't know how they do it, but they love doing they have a home gym and they just do all their stuff. And I'm like, that's great. I can't do that, but to each their own. But we have options. So make it convenient for you, easy to accomplish so you'll actually do it and make it attractive. Like what is gonna like make you want to do it? So those are just kind of like some of the mental things of building the discipline enough to like just have this routine and stay in it. But if you're struggling, just still keep it simple because I'm very big on the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Nothing really needs to be difficult and nothing really has to be difficult, to be honest. And then consider doing, so these are 4 points we're going to talk about the rest of the time. Walking, running, some form of strength training, even body weight, mobility, and then breath work, grounding, calming your nervous system, something because we need to do it all the time, but we're go, go, go. We're in a sympathetic fight or flight as a society. We all know this, but like tuning into yourself. My pelvic floor PT the other day got on to me because I wasn't really checking in with myself as much. And it's hard when you just go, go, go. So like having an app to check in with yourself. So I'm going to go through those real quick and spend the most time on mobility and strength and show y'all a few things. So that you can at least have a couple of easy tools in your back pocket to do. So for walking, running, aim for a certain number of minutes or distance. Okay. And then some of my patients like they don't have like a lot of time all at once or don't like going that long because they get fatigued or we're trying to build endurance. So sometimes they do more frequent. So like maybe two to three times a 10 to 20 minute walk instead of going out for like a 45 to 60 minute walk or run, like breaking it up if they have the capacity to do so. So just trying to either get outside for a family walk at night. That's also quality time. And for those like with significant others, that's really big to be able to like talk through things too. So even if it's cold, bundle up. But if you really want to walk, run, etc., at least you have access to a treadmill or something at a gym. We already talked about that. Breath work and grounding, checking in with yourself, seeing, usually my cue is like, I'll ask my people, do you feel like you're here, even if it doesn't look this elevated? Do you feel like you're tense here? And even men, where's your pelvic floor sitting? Is it up and you had to relax it? or is it already relaxed and that doesn't feel fine? So that's kind of a good check-in with your body. And then just like, how am I breathing? Am I like quicker, more breaths, or am I diaphragmatic breathing, which doesn't mean just belly. So it just means like kind of being able to be here. We're so use accessory muscles all the time, which is where a lot of like neck pain, tightness stuff comes from too. So you want to check in with your breathing and the quality of that. And that could be like every 30 minutes to an hour, just like where am I at right now? And it's just a good, like, don't get upset with yourself because we're usually like working or doing something, but just check in and be like, okay, this is my cue to relax. If you can do that multiple times a day, that's still a nice 2-minute reset for your nervous system anyway. And then I put grounding because I'm barefoot a lot at home, right? We do like a lot of dry needling here, so I usually have tennis shoes on just in case. And I feel like it's just better because we're moving and grooving all the time in here. But we can be barefoot or wear sandals or whatever, open toe shoes a lot when it's summer and spring and fall. When it comes winter, you're in like boots and closed toe shoes and even like being warm in your house. And like I love my fuzzy socks and all the things and house shoes, but still being barefoot at home is going to be a big thing. It helps with grounding, being intentional with like your feet making contact with the ground, proprioception. It's just super healthy. And if you're working out from home, I would really encourage you to try to do that barefoot too. That's just so good for your feet. And then the last two things are mobility and strength. So, uh, the mobility exercises, because a lot of people do a lot more sitting during this season, I wanted to go over some, like, there's so many freaking things to teach y'all, but I'm trying to just keep it super simple. Like a spine one, I'm gonna show y'all like an extension over foam roller and like a rotation with like an open book, something to stretch out front of hip and then back of hip, like butt too, because with a lot of sitting, things just need to move more and walking really helps with that because it's hip extension too. But if you want to do some specific stretches, I'm going to show y'all. And then strength stuff, setting up an easy circuit. Like you choose maybe either upper or lower body or a mix. And if you only have 20 minutes, you do 3 to 4 rounds of 3 of the exercises and you do how many ever reps. If you're doing more weight, you're going to do less reps. If you're just doing body weight, try to get maybe 10 to 15 reps each. It really just depends on your capacity. It's so individualized. So I'm just like saying general here. And again, KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. So maybe like if you know she's been sitting for a while, just get up and like do a couple stretches. It doesn't have to be all the way into a routine. But if you feel like, ooh, this one really helps, then just like do that one more consistently. You don't have to do all of them. And then I'm a huge fan of doing less better. So keep it basic with some leg, arm, core strength. So upper, lower, and trunk. And usually you're working trunk with all that anyway. And then last thing real quick is the concept of the movement snacks that I was talking about and this has been the hardest struggles postpartum, is I just love to go and just do my 45 to 60-minute workout and get my stuff done. But I was not capable in the anxiety I was having, but also it's just really hard for the baby. And I'm just saying it compared to my life. I know that's not everybody's thing, but I had to start learning to be okay with like 10-minute little movements. And that was hard, but it was good because I still got to do some stuff. So it doesn't have to be a long workout. Less time, more frequent movement sessions for shorter amounts is fine, and doing something is better than nothing mentality, which is what I said earlier, but it goes into all this. Okay, so the rest of the time, I'm going to try to spend maybe like 5 minutes on it, and then I think we'll be good. I was going to go through my mobility section and then my strength section and just giving y'all some cues and showing you because I know everybody like thinks they know how to do stuff, but sometimes form is an issue and it can cause pain too. And I'm not going to get super technical because that's not what this is about, but I just wanted to show you how to move your body a little bit better. And I'm going to have to mess around with this, so try not to be too distracted. So mobility. Um, let's do hip stuff first. So everyone knows pigeon usually. It's like a good yoga move. I like to do it elevated. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the table since we're back here. Shauna, you let me know if you can't.
Will do. Yeah, we're doing good so far.
All right. Can you see me? Okay.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So we're trying to get external rotation of your hip, and a lot of that can be like adductor, but a lot of that's glute. And so I like to come in because I feel like you can isolate it without having to worry about your back leg. But just get as figure four as you can. If it's too much or too much on your knee, you can bend it in or kind of come into the table like this instead of head on. And you can sit there. You can hinge forward at your hip, which looks like kind of getting more into it. My spine's staying straight, but I'm really focused on trying to feel a stretch here. You can move around, but usually that just feels really good when you've been sitting for a while. A lot of people really like the figure four stretch. You can do it sitting too. So getting into here makes you feel that, or even just a knee pull. So again, I'm going to do these quick, but that's good for back of hip. I like these hip pivots on the ground because a lot of people lack this type of motion. And so I call them hip 90-90s, you can call them Z-sits, whatever. But you're pivoting through your feet, bringing your knees up. And it's more so because I've already showed you pigeon for the front leg. It's still good for that, but it's really for this back leg. And it feels kind of feel pinchy up here, but it's just really good to stretch out your hip in that aspect too, because we need internal rotation too. So those are hip 90-90 pivots. Cobra, everyone's usually familiar with, but I'm just thinking a lot of times people lack a lot of extension if they've been sitting a lot in trunk flexion. So to be able to stretch this out, and it also stretches out front of hip.
Maggie, how long should we do those for?
I guess until you feel like you loosen up. There's so many, I can give you so many things. It just depends on how stiff the person is or if they're just doing it for like an in and out motion. So for like 90-90s, maybe like 10 pivots, or you can just sit in that position for 1 to 2 breaths. Pigeon, depending on if you want to just sit there or hinge, maybe 10 hinges per side, or sitting there for 30 seconds for a while. I'm more about dynamic mobility, but sometimes static stretching is good. So I'm trying to give a mixture. Cobras, I like potentially like getting up here and hanging out and sagging through your low back. A lot of people, I have a lot of extensions, so most people are here, like in this position, but at least get an extension. So if you have kids, or if you just need to like turn on your TV or your phone, your laptop, you can just lay here just to get some sort of extension. I'm also a stomach sleeper, so I get plenty of it. But if you wanted to like just hang out for 5 or 10 minutes down here, that's great. Or if you wanted to do repetitions, maybe 3 to 5 second holds, back down, and we're just really trying to extend from here and stretch out a little bit here. And then I've made a list of just things I feel like the areas that get the tightest with this specific season. So hip flexor stuff. A lot of times hip flexors aren't just tight, they're weak. I get it, but it does feel good to open up sometimes still. So not dismiss with arching your low back, but keeping your rib cage stacked over your pelvis. You can even kind of do a little bit of a tuck if you want to engage that back glute, and you will already feel it without having to go into this extreme. So you can like lock it down up here to really feel a good stretch. I'm not doing this one, but couch stretch is this, plus your back foot elevated on either the wall or a couch or a box, and it gets a lot more quad if that feels tight. So this, you can add side bending. I like to breathe into it and relax into it a little bit, and then you can kind of go in and out once you have that lock, so maybe 5 to 8 times if you want to pivot or pulse, or you can just do 15 to 30 seconds and then alternate and then go back, or if you want to do 3 on each side, I just like kind of continuously moving. And then open book I'm going to do up here. It's for spine rotation. Let me do that one first. Okay. Again, tell me if you can see. So you can do knee stacked, or you can do yoga block, or a foam roller sitting right here, and you would put your leg on that. So just pretend, because I got to go get my foam roller. So yes, this is going to stretch pecs too, but the majority of what I'm trying to do is get your spine moving. So mid and lower back are going to be affected with this. If you don't feel anything, or you want to aim, or you feel kind of stuck, or you don't feel like it's helping anything, I would get you to pull your knees up so it can lock out your low back more and get more of that like mid back is helpful. So just depending on how much hip flexion you give yourself is going to feel different. And you can do like a rainbow for a shoulder. There's so many varieties, But I'm focused on my belly button rotating towards the other way, not just me stretching my pec back here because I'm really mobile, but that's not doing anything for my spine. So I'm focused on moving from here, trying to dissociate my trunk and my hip basically. You can do this. If that hurts your shoulder, you can kind of bend it. And then I like to take some deep breaths into where I feel tighter and try to sag into it a little bit more and rotate towards the direction that you're trying to get better movement into. And then a lot of people like hanging out, but again, I like getting in and out of motions. I think more reps is better. So 5 to 10 reps per side with like 1 to 2 breaths when you get to your end range, and then coming back. The other spine rotation one I love that isolates more of like thoracic, upper mid back is you can even get the child's pose, which also feels good for people. It's still a lot of hip flexion, but whatever. But you can do this, you can be here, but I really like this one because I can relax here. Put your hand behind your neck. This is called all fours rotation. I'm opening up my shoulder, but I'm really still trying to rotate from my spine. So a lot of belly button. I'm trying to breathe at end range and getting into them. So if you're all following along with me, maybe you'll just do all these as I do them. I should have said that just to kind of go through it, and then you can thread the needle underneath. So both ways you're getting rotation, and then you would switch. And I usually recommend like 8 to 10 of those per side, but it's so good, especially if we're like working from home, working at a desk a lot. I have a very moving job, so yes, I have to do documentation, but I'm moving around. Still feels good to me. But all my patients who have desk jobs, that's really, really helpful. And then chin tucks, or cervical retraction is really what it's called. Chin tuck is more naughty, but when you're having headaches, neck pain, tightness, a lot of things is actually blood flow and shrugs if you want to add those in with a band or a dumbbell. But we're really trying to get your lower cervical spine moving. You may feel these here, you may feel these up here, you may not feel them. I recommend either laying down or when you're driving, do them at a stoplight or whatever, because you'll have your headrest here. And so what I'm trying to do is think about elongating here and moving my lowest cervical vertebrae over my top upper back one. So like C7 over T1 if you want to think about it. It's beautiful because you get a double chin. You know these.
I do know these, yes.
So this is what it looks like. It's not me pushing my head back here. It's me driving straight back. And it's just a good way. We're all forward in that. Posture's not everything. I get that. But it is nice to like at least elongate that and get some different movement for your neck. And a lot of that really helps resolve, especially if you're having like stuff in the shoulder or arms, centralizing pain. But a lot of times people feel tightness in neck or upper neck where they have headaches, and it's super helpful. So it's really simple exercise. You can do them when you're laying in your bed. Try to get as flat as you can instead of pillow. Play around with that. And I got to go grab my foam roller because this is a really good one real quick. Hang on.
I will say if you're doing the chin tucks, if you feel like you look really silly, then you're likely doing it right. And as Maggie said, doing them in the car is really helpful and an easy way to get that in.
Okay. I'm hurrying. Okay, so this is the foam roller. I have it on my mid back. This is one of my favorite ones because for shoulder, neck, back pain, it really feels good. So interlock your hands behind your neck. Yes, people go up and down, but I like staying in a spot that doesn't feel that great or feels tighter, and you're not arching your low back. So I'm not like doing this or flaring my ribs. I'm just really hinging where that foam roller is and kind of doing 3 to 5 spots in that area and going above or below for a few different spots. So those are my favorite mobility ones. And then strength, again, you could do a circuit of 8 to 12 reps. I'm not a huge high rep person because people need weights in their hands, but we're going to keep it simple right now. Squats. So the basic functional movements are squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, carry. There's single leg, double leg variations of each. Hinge is more like the lowest levels of bridge, hip thrust, deadlift, RDL. And then lunge, you can do lateral lunges, reverse lunges, squats, goblet squats, back squats, front squats. You get the picture, split squat, whatever. So I'm just showing you basic stuff, okay? And you can't see all of me, but maybe I could do this a little bit better. Okay, I'm gonna right into this. Feet hip width apart. You can't see my feet, but they're straight, or if they're going to both be turned out 5 to 10 degrees, that's fine if you have some restriction. And then you just want to focus on, like, I like controlled, like, so don't be sloppy and coming up and down because you can cheat that way. But just kind of, if you wanted this, hold a weight, whatever, prisoner squat, but control it. You don't need to be all the way out here, but I also don't want to see this, your knees caving in, because your hips aren't going to have space. So drop it in. Honestly, putting weight through your feet, tripod foot is what I call it, big toe, pinky toe, heel, and balancing yourself. This is going to make you work your quads, so you can pause tempo, you can do reps, but you can make it harder by holding it and getting at that parallel. Because when you drop to a deep squat, it takes all tension off your quads until you get up. So it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. So if you want to add weight and hold, like almost like a forward wall sit, that's great too. Lunges. So I love a lot of, especially because I see a lot of people with knee pain, reverse lunges are usually nicer. You can do walking stuff too. This is not great. Hang on. Okay. Oh, there's my mirror. So we're working on not tracking in here, but you don't need to be super out here either. So squaring up your pelvis. You can come here. You can alternate, but we just don't want to see a lot of this. Okay. And just really trusting that front leg. So even if you're doing walking lunges, it's not a lot of weight on the back leg that's helping. So I say like 75-25. Woo, breathe heavy. Get my workout in. Okay. And then, so that's what I like for lunges. You can do alternating. You can do kind of split squat with back foot elevated or just here. If you want to get reps in, touch your knee all the way. You can add weights here. You can add weights here. So we do squat, lunge. I'm not going to show y'all technicality of like deadlift and stuff. So a better, easier way sometimes is like a bridge. If you're just going to do it at home, if you don't have weights, is, let me do it on the table. Okay. I'll go this way. I'm not supposed to have shoes on my tables. Cheating. Okay. So you can use a band to add more glute stuff, or if you have a hard time with your inner thigh strength, you can add like a yoga block or ball squeeze there with this too. And what you want is a neutral spine. I love people, honestly, cueing people. I'm a whole footer gal, but for this, to get your glutes engaged more, pushing through your heels pretty good, and then squeezing your butt, and then we're lifting, but we're only hinging here. So again, I'm not coming all the way arching and using my low back to compensate for my lack of hip extension. You really want to think of activate here, lengthen here, and we're trying to do that symmetrically. 5 to 10 second holds, I would say. If you want to make it harder, you either go single leg. I don't have a lot of hip extension, so I can't go very high. Or a box or bench or a chair, putting your feet on and do more of a hamstring bridge. You're going to feel a lot here and here, and that's more range of motion, so it's harder, and you can do one leg with that too. So single leg stuff's always going to be harder, so you can add that in at the double if you're bored, or the double leg option is a little easy. And then the only other things I was going to go over, push-ups. I can only do 5 right now postpartum, so there's some incline options. Real quick though. So, because I was going to go into plank or sit up for core stuff too. Always add in all planes of motion to it, so you can do rotation. I'm not going over that today, but side plank works, side stuff and lateral glutes, things like that, side lunges. I'm doing a lot of sagittal plane motion, but a plank, you can do hand, you can do shoulder taps, you can do elbows. Usually this is harder unless you have wrist issues and you just don't like that. But for push-up, again, we're trying to get a neutral tabletop spine so it looks like I'm really rounding, but I just don't want to be here. Okay. All right. And then you want to control your whole trunk neutrally all the way down. So chest and pelvis touch at the same time, and then back up. And I'm thinking, engaging my core, and then pushing away from the floor with my arms. That's a lot of here and a lot of here, but I tell people push-ups are like 50% core, 50% upper body. So that's a great one. Do an incline too, which is my favorite for getting people back to them that haven't done them in forever. And you can change the height on these. Okay. But you still don't cheat. You still don't just do this. Your pelvis still has to go on for the ride. So it's like a full-on push-up still. So if it's like a plank you're holding, you control it all the way up and down. And most people do them wrong, so that's something I'm picky about how to teach it. And then probably the last thing, you got sit-ups and then a row, but I'm not going to pull out weight. But if you want to do a row, you can either do on a bench or standing one or propped up right here, but it's to really get, because when you sit a lot, we get really elongated in the back and we really want to start engaging them, especially if you've had neck or scap pain back there. So if you want to do one arm or both or whatnot, I'll just do this, pretend like I have some weight. And then you can do one arm. Try not to wing it out here too much. Really try to stay close to your body. But it's like a hinge position, like you would for an RDL or deadlift. You can go both. But you're really trying to keep that straight and really just pull from here. That's row, and then sit up. So many core stuff. I'm just thinking, don't go like all momentum because you're really not using a lot of core with that. But you really want to engage. You can do leg strength, that's easier. But you really want to engage that lower transverse muscle. So like zipping up from your pelvis to your belly button usually and engaging that. And then slow and controlled up and slow and controlled down. And I've had to be really intentional since being pregnant with those. So again, that's 6 exercises. If you wanted to do a mix of upper and lower, or like squats, I'm looking at my sheet, squats, lunges, bridges, and do a circuit of that. And then the next day you do some incline push-ups. Love overhead press too if you have weights. Just some sort of press, some sort of row, and a core or a carry. I love carries at the gym if you have access to that. Farmer carries where you hold weight. Works a lot on shoulder, lat, and core strength. So yeah, I know that was like super quick, but I just wanted to show y'all some options so that you feel like I don't know what to do, or what are some ideas for like home exercises? Because if people are going to the gym, they usually are doing like machines or more weighted stuff, but those were all body weight. So there are options, and if you need accountability in this season too, that's a great time to like get a trainer or like use resources if you have the means to do that, because it can make sure you're doing it well, but then you can stay encouraged because that's a little bit of accountability and you're spending money for something, so you're going to take it more seriously. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. I know that was quick, sorry, but just the basic mobility, strength stuff, cues I give my patients, and just really try to stay moving, whatever that means to you. Do something that's fun. Some of it's not fun, but that's literally life. And that's what I tell people. It's like, I do stuff that I don't want to do all the time, but it's beneficial to me. So that's why I kind of just trying to keep like starting to get a routine in throughout the year so it doesn't feel so when it becomes this time. Because if you have those set in place, it's so much easier here. And here when you don't want to do it, you're like, I'm already used to getting up and doing this though. Or always do a walk every day. So like I'm still going to do that even if it's like maybe a different time or not as long kind of thing. So stay encouraged, keep moving. If you'll have any questions or anything comes up, we're always here for you. But there's so many resources on YouTube, etc. too, like yoga, strength. So the world is never ending. Now we have AI, all the things. So like I think it's really just executing on what you want, like make a goal list or like what do you really want to do, and then make sure you get that done. And keep the promises you make to yourself is a big thing. So that's my wisdom to share today. Hopefully it was helpful.
Super helpful, Maggie. And as a visual learner, I certainly appreciate you showing some of those. This will also be posted on YouTube. So if you're like me, you can pause it and be like, how did I get in that position?
Okay, good.
Workout snacks, that is a brilliant way to word that, because I tend to fall in the all or nothing mindset. So thank you for that reminder. And we could always use another good acronym. So I'll be using meds and writing that down so I can visually see that. Just thank you so much for joining us, Maggie.
Yeah,
like I said, you are a wealth of knowledge. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope all y'all have a great new year.
Yes, Happy New Year again, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.